Hey, what's up, Roxstars? It's Rox coming to you today with a new show, you guys. Pretty exciting, huh? Reasonable Doubt season 2 just started on Thursday on Hulu. And remember, I told you guys that I was going to review this show. Hopefully, you guys all are caught up and watched season 1. I did not review season 1. However, I did watch right after season 1 finished. I did binge watch way back then, and actually was surprised that they brought the show back for season 2, which I felt like the show deserved a season 2, but I just wasn't sure. You guys know how some of these shows can go, but thankfully enough, they brought the show back. We're on season 2. We've got new characters on there, namely Morris Chestnut, which people are so excited to see. And I think it's going to be a good season. Actually, I believe that this season will be better than last season. I kind of felt like last season was a little, I won't say aimless, but after a while, it just started to feel like we were, it was just, what exactly are we doing? Okay. And I was wondering what direction they were going to go after the Michael Ealy character passed or killed himself, unalived himself on the show. I was just like, well, that story is completely done. I mean, they could always expand on Jax and Lewis's relationship, which, Lord, is so tiring. We'll talk about that in a second, but as far as the Michael Ealy character was concerned, that was done. So I was like, what direction are they going to go in? So it was actually a great idea to focus now on her really close friend Chanel and Chanel's husband, who we know from last season being an extreme asshole. I don't think that I really liked him or Chanel really that much. Okay. As a matter of fact, if I was really to tell you the truth, I don't think I like really many of these characters on this show. The show is an excellent show, I feel. And I think that that's maybe a testament to how good the acting is, because Jax, not my favorite person. Lewis, not my favorite person. Chanel, JT, absolutely not. The mama, not really. Okay? Like, everybody is sort of like, I don't know, so it's going to be an interesting season. Bringing Morris Chestnut in kind of makes it feel like it took a left turn and did something else, which I'm thankful for, because now we on something completely different. Now, let me just explain to you before we get to the review that I am going to really, 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 really try to just review the show as opposed to recapping the show. That is very difficult for me to do. I am a recapper. Okay, and I usually want to tell you guys the whole story, like kind of as it went. However, this time I'm really going to try. Every time I say I'm going to do it this way, it never works out and I end up becoming a recapper again. But in this sense, on this show, you guys, I am really going to try to just the show. Okay, because I don't feel like being out here for 45 minutes and an hour and all that. It don't need to be all that. Okay, so we going to just we just going to review the show, talk about some of the stuff on the show, and then we going to keep it pushing. Okay? So, with no more further ado, what's up, Roxstars? It's Rox coming to you today with a review for Reasonable I can't say it. Reasonable Doubt, Season 2, Episode 1. So, let's get to it, shall we? I say I'm gonna take some time off, y'all. All the cashiers, they was like, somebody stole her truck. It's like you can hear it all throughout the store. This Rox coming to you today with a review for Love and Marriage Detroit, Love and Marriage Huntsville, our book 4, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let's get to it, shall we? We still gonna tell the story and everything, but it's gonna be mighty, downsized. So you guys know this show basically is now going to be focusing on Chanel's relationship, or no longer relationship, with her husband JT. We saw at the end of last season, Chanel called Jax as Jax was taking her morning run and told her that she had killed her husband. So now it's just like, oh fuck. So we didn't really know exactly what it all entailed at the end of last season. Now we know this season, we see Jax. We're assuming that she is in therapy because, she just watched her friend slash client that she was representing, slash love interest. Like, we already saw what they went through there, and it was quite traumatic, you know. So yes, she could stand to go to therapy also because of the rest of her life, which was almost in shambles. So yes, it's nice to see that Jax is trying to take care of her mental. Now she's talking to the therapist, and the therapist is telling her that she thinks that she's done enough, you know, work on herself, and that she's about to clear her to go back to work, because Jax is like, you know, I feel lifted, I feel good, she's all these things that she feels, and the therapist wants to send her back to work. Well, she's sort of like, in her mind, within herself, she's just like, wait a minute, I don't know if I'm ready to go back to work. But that overachiever part of Jax, the part that cannot turn away from her work, is just like, yeah, I'm ready to go back. And I was like, girl, I could tell you're not ready. Even the therapist tried to give her an out and was just like, you want to think about it a little bit? Nope. Jax says she's full steam ahead. And which is one of the things that annoys me about Jax, is that now she's old enough to know that she probably needs more time to work on herself. However, you know, she also doesn't want to be looked at as this weak person that can't handle, you know, kind of anything. So could be frustrating. Okay, to a fault, she is frustrating. And Chanel, of course, you know, her over there with that husband who she didn't beat the hell up out of, obviously, and he is bleeding out on the floor. Okay, now we didn't know how it happened, but we could pretty much assume that that blunt force object that she has in her hand, which is one of his trophies probably, she ended up beating him, bashing him across the head, and worry about heaven later, obviously. He's all to begging her, like, to call the police, but he's cursing at her. Nigga, do you realize that you need her right now? Even though he probably was gonna die anyway, okay? But, yeah, when she dropped that weapon, and she just stood there and looked at him, I was just like, oh, girl. Now, I know this man didn't beat on you and everything, but it take a pretty cold-hearted person to watch somebody just die there. All right, so the hate is real. So that's how all this kind of stuff comes together. Jax, after she leaves her therapist, you know, new lease on life. Yeah, she's about to head back to work, you know, and we kind of see it as a metaphor, and like as some sort of sign as she's running real fast up the hill. This is the next thing that the next challenge that you're about to go through, because Chanel calls her and was like, I just killed JT, you know, and that's when she was like, oh fuck. So Jax hurries up to the house, you know, she puts on her gear to make sure she doesn't disturb evidence, and she goes inside and she's looking around, and there's a body on the floor and everything, and she was just like, what the fuck is going on? She sees Chanel over there, she's all like, you know, what happened to you? Did he do this to you? Because Chanel has bruises and shit, and you know, Chanel's distressed white woman, like, you know, I just told him that I was gonna leave this one last time, and I was gonna take the kids, and you know, he got really crazy, and so there's that. So I'm looking at this, and of course I'm feeling like, girl, you are really putting on an act, because you obviously killed him and did not feel a way about it. Okay, now I'm not faulting the girl. I mean, you getting beat on and shit, and the way that he treated her anyway, even the mental abuse and the verbal abuse and the physical abuse, but you know, you still killed this man, you know. So I'm just sort of sitting there looking at her like, girl. Okay. Look, I went to a watch party actually to watch it on Friday over at Shana's house. Hey, Shana J, you guys, Shana J and Eric, you guys, they have a YouTube channel. They are bloggers. She has a dope ass flower shop out here, a plant shop, I should say, out here in Atlanta, and actually it's in Cobb County. But anyway, she had a watch party the other night. I had watched the show already that morning, because I've been to watch parties before, and I know how it never goes as planned, and everybody be talking and you can't hear, and you know, I be needing to hear, because I need to be able to tell y'all what happened. But it was funny, because one of the girls that was there was a lawyer, and she was just like, why is she talking to her, you know, as a witness? I mean, as a possible suspect, and the house is crawling with cops. And, you know, we kept on having to say, like, this is make-believe, it's a TV show. But it was like common sense to tell you, girl, you ain't supposed to be doing all this. Maybe they weren't really, in real life, they wouldn't have been talking that loud. okay? And maybe they would have been whispering, but you can't really be whispering when you're trying to do a TV show, because people on the show need to be able to hear too, okay? So they, you know, were a little bit loud, but maybe they were acting like they were whispering, but they were, anyway, child. I was just like, Jax, can we take care of all this, you know, later? So, you know, of course, the police are trying to figure out what's going on with Chanel, and they want to question her, and Jax is in lawyer mode, you know, and protective, like, this woman's been through a lot. You know, you act like she the suspect, but she the victim, okay? The suspect is laying over there on that ground, so I expect you guys to treat her that way. You know, she needs to go to the doctor. She needs to go in behind the back door, because JT is also a very famous football player. Okay, so you already know that America is going to be on his side. You know, Chanel, what am I going to tell the kids, girl? What are you going to tell the kids? You going to tell the kids that you killed their daddy. You ain't even going to have to tell them that, you know? So, I mean, depending on that relationship that the kids have with their daddy, girl, they might not forgive you. They take Chanel off to the hospital, and, you know, Jax calls Lewis. Now, Jax and Lewis have this very convoluted, very frustrating relationship. They're on and off. To me, it doesn't seem like it takes that much to figure out if you're going to be a couple or not. If you guys watched last season, you know some crazy shit that was going down between the two of them. And the fact that Lewis did leave Jax because he was feeling like, you know, she was dedicated to every other thing other than him. And of course, when Lewis left, then Jax felt resentful for him. And so she was doing all kind of things to make him mad and all. Including having sex with just randoms, and not to mention that they have a surveillance camera that's in their house that Lewis liked to access and watch her have sex with said random people. And, you know, so that part was crazy last season, because I was just like, I don't know too many men that's going to sit there and watch their wife that they fully love. And even if they don't really love them like that no more, you know, like that is what they consider, you know, that primal part of them come out like, that's mine, you know. Whose husband is sitting there watching his wife? I don't give a fuck if you separated. Whose husband is watching his wife have sex with somebody else? Like, I mean, it probably happens, but more likely than not, that was a lot of fool of fucking niggotry last season. But so you got to understand, like, in all last season, Lewis just complained, you know, that he wanted to be with her, or, you know, and then she didn't want to. And then, you know, then he started feeling like, okay, maybe he need to go see somebody else. And we know that he messed with the girl that Jax knows, okay? Not a bestie or anything, but still, you know, the woman is around, right? And I understood why Lewis did what he did. Jax was putting him through, you know, and but he is whiny, because I'm feeling like I feel like sometimes you love somebody, but if they don't love you back, you're gonna have to set them free, like Sting said. You know, if you love somebody, set them free, all right? And let her do whatever she's doing, because she about to run you crazy. And you just look weaker and weaker every single time, you guys. So anyway, she calls him, and he's like, what? Oh my God, you know, that's his friend. But, you know, damn, was he beating on Chanel? And she's like, yeah, I mean, you know, she had a pretty good shiner and shit. Lewis already know. He like, you got your medicine? Because he was just like, oh, this is already bad. This already bad. She didn't have time to pick up her medicine. So I'm assuming that she's probably taking either some like anti-anxiety or some type of something that is going to regulate her mood because of all the things that she's been through, right? But immediately her friend needs her help. She done forgot all about herself again, and now she's out there trying to help Chanel. Girl, help yourself first. Didn't your therapist say don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it? Okay, I mean, that's probably advice we all could listen to. So I was like, Lewis, boy, this is a setback. Y'all was doing so well just 10 minutes ago, and now look. And of course, you know, when Jax is at the hospital, we can see that there is a nervous breakdown or some sort of anxiety panic attack, I should say. There's some sort of panic attack that is trying. It's impending, okay? It is threatening to come. But she can't even have it because the friends come and they're like, oh my God, you know, is everything okay? It's like the media's out there, the place is crawling with reporters. I mean, this is just going to get worse, you know, and all this. Where's Chanel? She's back there with the doctors, okay? So I was like, yeah, Jax couldn't even, at that time, you know, she couldn't even have her panic attack. Even when she was trying to have the panic attack, she couldn't, because one of the friends walks off. Actually, I think it was Chanel's cousin, walks off to kind of go check on Chanel, but she couldn't check on her because the police was in there, and she came and told Jax, so then Jax had to hop to it again. Like, what you mean somebody in there talking to her? You couldn't go in there. So she goes in there and she was like, excuse me, like, did anybody let her know that if you were going to be questioning her that she needed to have her lawyer here? Did you give her Miranda rights? Why are you guys here? Like, she shouldn't be having to go through this. She is the victim. Blopty blopty blue. Okay. So the whole time I'm just like, yeah, Jax, you've already left right back into lawyer mode. All right. Cause she even tried to tell the friend that she was leaving, but she couldn't because she found out that the police was there. So she still handles Chanel, make sure that the hospital treat her correctly and all of that. And then she takes her ass on back home. As soon as she gets home, that panic attack that I told you was impending, well, it's here now. Lewis is there, thank goodness. Breathe. Make sure you breathe. It's okay. He gonna go get her medicine because he picked it up. He was like, ain't dealing with this bitch today. This is where the shit goes left again. Now, just that morning, everybody was honky-dory, everybody was loving, everybody was communicating and all. As soon as Jax pulls back into a situation, albeit it is quite stressful. And I wish Lewis maybe could have understood where Jax's position was this time, Like, I don't need you to preach to me like right now. Just, can I have a day at least before you start telling me that, maybe somebody else can do the damn job. So when he started telling her, like, why can't anybody else help her? And, she's like, nobody else is a lawyer. And he was like, but you just had your own shit. Well, she's not really trying to listen to that. So I was just like, not disagreeing, Lewis, but maybe I just had some bacon, y'all. So that's why I'm trying to. Maybe you need to just give her a little space, let her process this, and maybe let's talk about it again in the morning. But, him telling her, I don't want to fight, but it's just sort of like, yeah, that could have maybe waited. Try to let the girl have a good 8 hours sleep, even though we know she wasn't getting no sleep. How you guys feel about Lewis? Y'all like him? When I was at the watch party, some people were saying that they actually don't like him. And I was like, I don't not like him. I just feel like he didn't put his foot down enough. I feel like Jax is a woman that needs a stronger, like, listen, I'm not going to do this. Like, if you want to do whatever you doing over there, you do that. But I'm not going to do that. And that's where I feel like he doesn't have much of a backbone. Okay? Because Jax was wilding, child. Jax was doing a whole lot. When I was watching the show, I was feeling like the story that Chanel was telling Jax and the way the story was changing, it felt like the lawyer part of Jax should have realized that Chanel was having a bunch of inconsistencies. Okay? Especially being a defense lawyer, like, you seem like you would be more in tuned to that kind of thing. Maybe she's being blinded because this is her friend, so she wants to see the best of her friend, and she can't imagine that her friend is going to be a stone cold killer like the people that she normally represents, Maybe that's why Jax just did not pick it up. Now, the next day, Jax gets up, and I was like, she cleared for work on one day, and she right back to work the next day. Like, bitch, we couldn't get Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, and then get on back to the office on Monday. We just returning back on Wednesday, huh? So she feels like shit that next day, understandably so. And I was like, girl, I would have made a call to that damn doctor real fast. Like, hey, doc, I know you said I can go back to work, but listen, I can't do it. I cannot do it right now. But Jax is not going to do that, because then that would be admitting defeat or some sort of flaw that Jax refuses to see about herself. So she takes it on back to work. And, it was good to see her assistants. I don't know their names. I'm sure I'll remember it before the, episode 3. But she sees her assistants, the black girl and the Asian guy, and they're happy to see her. So I'm just like, well, girl, at least you got some people at your job, that you like to be around, that are fun, that like you and all of that. Those are her assistants, though. Of course, she works in a law firm, and it's a mega law firm, apparently. And, you know, it's all powerful white men. You know, she's the only black person in the room. There might be another woman sprinkled here or there. But you can imagine all of the microaggressions and the things that she has to go through. I mean, many of us who've worked in the even the public sector, public or private, you guys know how that can go. She's back at work. She's probably looking at herself like, why am I at this table? She tells him about the JT case and how, you know, Chanel, she's been helping her through it because she's a childhood friend, right? Now, she didn't really say that she was a lawyer, but I'm thinking, well, what else are they to assume? All right. In the very next breath, she tells them, you know, I was hoping that I could draw back a little bit on my billable hours so I can spend time with my family. And they were like, what do you mean? You just told us that you about to take on this big ass case with JT and your girl. You know, like, how is it that you trying to do this and now you telling us you not taking the case? Okay. Is this a more permanent, like, a leave? You know, which was kind of them, you know, saying without saying, like, are we gonna have to get rid of you? Like, are you about to be a problem? Are you gonna be on FMLA every 5 minutes? Are you gonna be trying to, you know, that's where that was going. And so she was just like, oh no. All right. I definitely am going to let you know what's going on with the case. So to me, that meant that you were about to take this on as a case. And I was like, Jack, girl, is that what you want to do? But she knows she has all these people counting on her. I think as we see Jack's going to see her therapist, we realize that she said, like I said, she is an overachiever. So she expects so much of herself to be doing all of these things when the fact of the matter is, girl, you are traumatized and you need to deal with that. Okay. Maybe the easier way is to just throw yourself into work. But we know that Jax has a problem separating, like, being too close to a case. We saw it last season. And then this whole thing with her marriage, it's easy for her to just not deal with her marriage either, throwing herself into work. So it's this whole convoluted problem, like I said. Lewis is back and forth. You know, he lives somewhere else, but he's been staying with Jax and leaving in the mornings or leaving before the kids wake up. You know, at least he was thinking that he was getting away with it, but the daughter quickly let him know, like, we know that you spend the night, Dad. Like, we know you there. At first I thought it was because they were in there having sex and they were too loud, but we find out very soon after that they ain't even having sex, y'all, which is just the craziest to me. Okay. So anyway, the kids are frustrated with it. You know, listen, Dad, we know you're there anyway. Then you get just bring your ass back. Like, what? But, you know, he's still trying to work on some things. They ready for life to get back to normal. You know, having to deal with their parents going through this, whatever, quasi-separated state. And when they're used to, you know, everything moving a certain way, it's just like, can we just get back to that? Mama need to go back to work. She all in the business, you know, just tired. You know how teens can be. But yeah, kids are always watching, and they usually know more than you think. Now, Jax does what people try to do when they're trying to schmooze up the other side. You know, when she goes to see the DA, it was obvious that she was trying to soften him up, because her whole angle is, this has got to be a self-defense case. This cannot be a domestic violence, she killed her husband case. Okay, it needs to be because she was trying to make sure she protected herself and didn't get herself killed. So it was either like he was gonna kill her or she had to defend herself and kill him. So that's the direction Jax is trying to go. So of course she goes to see her DA friend, you know, and he's cool and they laugh, and you know, she got donuts and all this, but there's of course a hard-nosed ass DA that's there who is just like, we work for the government, we cannot take gifts, which is true. Ethically, we cannot take things as government workers. We used to get all kind of shit, and they had to cut all that out because, you know, people start using that, saying this is how a certain person got a contract or then more favorable positions and things like that because they accepting all these outside gifts. So yes, very much so. However, that DA was just like, girl, you could tell you got a major stick up your ass. Okay. So that's going to be a problem, and we all can see that coming because new DA is super intense. But getting back to Lewis and Jack. So, you know, they had already been saying that they were going to do a couples therapy thing. because now that Jax feels that she's gotten herself to where she needs to be, now they need to be trying, first you got to get right with yourself, then you go get right with your spouse or your mate. And so, yeah, now they're going to do that. Jax is at Simply Wholesome. She's getting some food, a smoothie or whatever, and Lewis is there, and he wants to have a conversation with her, and so she's just like, fine, they can sit down and they can talk, but then she gets a phone call, so she's got to be on her way. Now, the assistant has called her to let her know that there's a few discrepancies in Chanel's story. One is JT happened to have some coagulated blood in his system, which means that he sat there and kind of chilled for a minute before anybody got their ass on the phone to get some help this way. Also, the cops are saying that her body was moved, because you guys know that things that we don't know as the regular, general person, we don't know that forensics can show all of these things. The way that if you move a body, then that means that their organs and their blood is going to be moving different ways, and it's going to show that it drained from somewhere to somewhere else. And there's all these things that they can tell. And of course, coagulated blood, if you had called the police immediately, then that blood would not have had time to get thick like that. So yeah, there's some problems here. Again, why isn't Jax's lawyer ear like hearing this and saying like, this is crazy? So even when she goes to talk to Chanel, and Chanel was just like, well, I'm the fucking victim here. Like, he was there, and they say that you moved the body. Yes, I moved the body because I turned him over to make sure that he was dead. Now, if that ain't some damn... That was not a slip of the tongue, honey. Meant that. Sis meant that. So it was just like, and of course, the assistant, he wrote that down. So girl, out your own mouth, you was making sure that he was dead, as opposed to, I was looking to see if he was still alive, or I was looking to make sure he wasn't dead, but when you say I'm making sure that he is dead, girl, that meant that you wanted him to be dead. Maybe Jax feels like confronting her friend. They could have done it in private, but she could have been like, listen, tell me the real. I need to know, as your defense lawyer. I'm gonna defend you, okay? But I need to know everything. Like, did you kill him? What did you do? Like, I need to know how to best represent you. And Jax never really asked that of Chanel. Again, the problem is that they're friends, so it's like crossing this line. As a regular defense attorney, I think that she would have been more comfortable asking somebody that she didn't know. So again, this ain't gonna work. But Jax still hasn't realized that yet. Chanel finally says she'll take a plea deal if she have to. She can't put her kids through it. I said, yeah, you can't put the kids through that, but you can put the kids through the damn dad dying. But Chanel just wants this shit to be over. And when she says that, she doesn't even sound like the damsel in distress that she once was at the beginning of the show. Jax trying to shuffle this whole situation with Lewis, goes to the counseling therapy session, and I don't know if you guys felt the same way that I did, but I was just like, oh my God, these two are so tit for tat. I have a friend, her and her boyfriend, very much are like this. Always have to one-up each other. They always go back and forth with each other, and I always just be like, why you just can't let it go? Okay? But that is exactly how Jax and Lewis is. They cannot let it go. It's a lot of back and forth. It's like a ping pong ball. It's like they just have to argue about any and everything, which is why I feel like these two don't even need to fucking be together. You love them, but sometimes you gotta set them free, like Sting said. Finally, the therapist was like, listen, okay, we need to have some healthy exchange here, not more of the same shit that you guys have been doing. Like, if you're gonna sit here in my office and be sitting up here arguing the whole time, then I'm gonna tell you, we ain't gonna get too far in these meetings. So you need to work on this. It's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be fun. Therapy is not fun, okay? Not until you get the breakthroughs that you're trying to get to. And sometimes it take a long time to get to them breakthroughs, okay? So Lewis is frustrated with Jax as usual. Then the mama calls, and shout out to Pauletta Washington. You guys know that is Denzel Washington's wife, right? That plays the mom. Last season, I was so shocked. I was floored when I realized that was her. Okay. Maybe this season, the wigs, that's the other thing. Maybe this season we can work on these wigs a little bit better, because I felt like they styled her to look older than she really was. Them wigs was awful, and Jax's wigs are usually pretty bad. I mean, she wears nice wigs too. The little short number is better than this blowout half product bob that she be wearing that just like, it's just weirdly cut, and I just be like, girl, maybe we could just put a little bit more spray in there, activate them curls a little bit, because this ain't working for me, girl. But the mom also triggers her. So Jax does have a lot of issues because she's been through a lot. You know, even last season, us finding out that Jax's stepfather had molested her, or was, you know, was grooming her to molest her and doing all those things. And the mom kind of protected the stepfather and all that. So yeah, she still has, again, there's a lot of things that's going on in the background with Jax that she really needs to unpack. Returning to work really was the worst thing for her to do right now. Now things get considerably more difficult once they find out that the DA that Jax was going to schmooze up with has been taken off the case, and now they didn't put hard-nosed ass DA on the case. And listen, fuck what you heard. The other DA was saying it was going to be self-defense and everything, but this new DA, she was just like, oh no, we already know that she faked it. She staged it to look like it was self-defense, but this was a murder, cold blood. She done killed this man. So because of that, we arresting that ass. Okay? So Jax's little plan is falling apart. You ain't gonna be able to schmooze up to this one. So, you know, Jax is mad because she didn't know that Chanel was going to be jailed and all, and Chanel didn't know that she was going to be jailed and all either. I don't know why people thought that that girl was going to be able to kill somebody and not spend any time in jail, really? You know, I mean, maybe it's this, I ain't no real rock star lawyer and everything, but it was already strange to me that this woman was out. But I mean, I guess we have heard of people being, you know, killed somebody and they still out until they have their court case. So, I mean, I guess. So when she goes to see Chanel, you know, Chanel's all upset. She can't believe she's in jail, you know, and Jax was like, yeah, she didn't know that she was going to get thrown in jail like this. And, you know, what we going to do? Because Chanel got other plans and it did not entail staying her ass up in jail. Chanel's all like, Jax, you believe me, right? Like, I told you the truth and all that. And Jax was just like, girl, I mean, there's a lot of evidence against you. I guess Chanel felt like she had it in the bag, but maybe she didn't. So yeah, Jax is having a bad day, full breakdown in the car and everything, takes it on back home, you know, and is back to smoking her cigarettes. This is probably the first moment of clarity that Jax has been able to have. She's finally been able to kind of sit down and get with her thoughts and think about this whole situation. And she realizes that as she's sitting there talking to Lewis, you know, she really does want to be with Lewis. Remember, at the beginning of the episode, she told him she wanted him to move back in. She wanted him to be there. She liked waking up in his arms and all of that. So erase all that middle shit that they just all went through. She knows that what she truly wants is her husband and her family. Okay, so now that she's sitting there and she's been able to think about it for a second, she realizes she's entirely too close to the case. So I was like, good, I'm so glad, because you was too close to old boy last season and look where that ended up, you know. So now she is just like, yeah, I can't represent her as my friend. I can't do that, you know. I'm gonna have to get somebody else. All right, so who might that somebody else be? Well, then the camera cuts to Morris Chestnut in a very compromised position, depending on who you ask. Honey, it was such a sexy hot scene because they still had their clothes on. We didn't see any body parts. Nothing was too lewd except for just the action. You knew exactly what was going on. You saw the woman bent over. You saw him back there all strong. Again, shirt on and everything, okay? But you could tell that it was going down at that very moment. Look at the damn watch party. The girls started screaming and everything. You know, I just smiled because I had already seen it, you know, earlier in the day. But I had laughed to myself because, honey, that Morris Chestnut, he still just brings it out of the women, honey. He is still a very good-looking, sexy, chocolate black man. Doesn't seem to age much. I mean, if he does age, he just gets better with it. But yeah, he definitely is going to be good to look at this season. So yeah, he's all in the throes, honey. I mean, we is getting it in, honey. We is getting it in. And then his phone rings and he has to stop for a second and he answers it. What music was playing? I feel like the music also helps this show a lot. They always have the best music, because did you guys remember when she was talking to the fellow lawyers, the partners, and they started playing I Hate You So Much Right Now by Khalees? I was cracking up because I was like, that's exactly what her feelings were when she was just looking around at all them old white men. Dang, I want to say Honey Love, but it wasn't Honey Love. They wouldn't play R. Kelly. God, what is the song? Anyway, he answers the phone and then he tells old girl to give him a minute. And she was just like, give you a minute? Like, nigga, we was in the middle of it. You mean to tell me you about to do some work right now? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm about to do, because he's a lawyer first, okay? Get the stepping, sis. So, she walks out in a huff. And then he's just like, Jax, whatever her last name is, girl, it has been a long time, okay? Which was interesting, the way he said that. How has it been a long time? They ain't expanded on any of that yet. The way she was talking originally, it felt like she didn't really know who he was. But then when he said it's been a long time, I was just like, And then knowing Jax's track record, I was just like, y'all done fucked before. What's what? The show ends with her explaining to him what Chanel exactly has been through. And he's just like, fuck. Okay, like this is going to be a doozy. So that is the way the first episode ended, you guys. Very, very good. The show is going to be good. I'm going to tell you, though, it's going to be frustrating, and it's going to be a lot of tipsy-turvy, little twists and turns. And that is what I'm looking forward to, you guys. Just some well-scripted. This show is very well written. The acting sometimes can be a little but I'm hoping with, we've got some seasoned veteran actors coming on in and everything now, maybe the acting will get a little bit better. Some of the people were trying to say that it was like reminding them of Tyler Perry. And I was like, no, it's not. This is not on the caliber of Tyler Perry. We won't disrespect these writers like that. Okay. The wigs could be better. I agree on that. But the acting and the writing especially is much better, more realistic. For the most part. I mean, we still got to entertain you guys. So, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good first episode. And I was like, yeah, I can tell that this season is going to be a little bit more focused and a little bit more realistic and a little bit more like, oh shit, So definitely enjoyed the first episode, you guys. I'm going to be reviewing it every week. As a matter of fact, I'm going to review episode 2 after this video, but we're going to break them up in twos because what we needs are this, right? Y'all make sure you watching it every week. If you ain't got caught up on the show, get caught up. And again, I'm not going to just flat out recap like I normally do. I'm going to try to stay in this vein, even though this still seems to take too long. I'm going to try to condense it even more, you guys. But yeah, it's going to be a good ride. But anyway, I'm going to get on off of here. Make sure you thumbs up the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Roxanne. The channel is itsrox. Everything else I do will be in the bottom bar. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Till next time, Roxstars. Bye.